guys, it's Brit. Tonight we're here to have a little bit of a discussion about this influencer who recently adopted a sweet young baby girl, and he is just what turned out to be a really tacky video showing this child has turned into an entire kind of deep dive, and people have a lot to say, and I'm going to go ahead and put my opinions out there as well. So if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so tonight we're here to talk about Will, and Will's username on social media is Will.Powerrr with 3 R's, and this creator describes himself as a life and style content creator. He is what I would consider kind of middle of the road. He's not in the, millions or anything, but he's certainly not a micro creator either. He is in the middle of the road, so you might have heard about him, you might not have until today, but nevertheless, he is kind of a mid-tier content creator. And he recently went viral over a video where he shows his young infant daughter. This is a very recent adoption for him and his husband, and he's showing this sweet young child. Of course, I will show the video, but I am going to blur the child's face out. And he's brushing the baby's hair and asking Black TikTok to help him care for this infant's hair. He mentions that he has a brush and some products from Shea Moisture, and he wants help.
I'm hoping to get this TikTok over to Black TikTok. Any Black parents? We have adopted a Black baby. Her name is Zoe, and I don't know what to do for her hair. I have this little brush. I have something from Shea Moisture. I really don't know what to use, so please, any Black parents or anyone who knows what to do with Black children's hair, please help me in the comments. Thank you.
Now, when I saw comments, it was two sides, as it usually is. It was some people saying, this is so tacky, you're awful for putting this video out. You're adopting a Black child, which you knew that this was, coming into your life, this sweet little baby. And you're making a TikTok showing this child and kind of using the child as a prop. The other side of the comments were people giving suggestions and, whatever. Now, while I am not going to offer product suggestions or a hair care routine, because that is not my place, nor do I have the skill level or expertise to even offer an opinion on any of the products or the brushes or the routines, what I would like to say is something that I have heard echoed from many of the Black creators that I have been listening to over this entire situation. All of them kind of have the very similar point of view that this is literally an infant. Infants don't need hair care routines. Now, once the child gets a little older, that might make sense, but that is what I've heard from many of the Black creators that I've been listening to.
So I want to make something very clear in case anyone has been confused about this. The issue with this video that people have is not about the fact that this is a white family that has adopted a Black baby specifically. That is not the issue. The issue is just how cringe and concerning that video is. First of all, we clearly have a newborn child whose hair hasn't even formed any kind of texture yet, right? Also, you're brushing the baby's hair very aggressively in that video. You constantly refer to your daughter as a Black baby that you adopted. I don't think anywhere in that video they even mentioned the word daughter. And it felt really like just contrived and not genuine. It just did not feel like a genuine video. It felt like it was, I'm going to put this on the internet to try to go viral, considering that you could literally look up videos on how to do your child's hair. But here's the thing, you don't even need those videos yet because you have a newborn, an infant. And as a mother of a Black son, I can tell you their hair does not necessarily have any kind of real texture to it anytime soon after birth. It's like not until after a year almost before the texture really starts to be whatever it's going to be. And you also could have just went and watched the video, but no, that wouldn't have gotten you likes. That wouldn't have gotten you the attention that you wanted. It was like your child was a prop. And I'm concerned for the safety of that child. From what I saw, I can only base things on what I saw. And what I saw was somebody who just might not have the best intentions for that child or why they went about even adopting a Black child. And that is our concern. That is the internet's concern. That's everyone's concern. Because if you've seen other videos, you know that everybody, Black, white, brown, and in between, are all having concerns with this video. So this is really about specifically how that father, which I use loosely because I'm concerned, I don't know, right, is showing up in that video in terms of his actual care for his child. That did not seem authentic, and it scared me. And it scared a lot of other people.
I'm going to tell y'all the story. In 2020, I gave birth to a set of twins. One was a boy and one was a girl. They were born at 24 weeks gestation. They were about 1 pound, 8 ounces each. My boy, who is now going on 4, is grown and beautiful and absolutely adorable. My girl lived for 7 days. The last thing that I did for her before she was taken off by the coroner was comb her hair. That relationship between mother and child is sacred. That is a sacred relationship between the parent who is brushing the child's hair and the child who is growing into the person they are meant to be. We're frustrated because this isn't a game. It's not anything to play with. And the fact that you took the opportunity to reach out to TikTok, to Black Talk, to learn and ask for advice on how to do her hair rather than anything else. What is the best thing that she could eat? How long does she have to sleep? She is a newborn. You took that opportunity to reach out about her hair than anything else. It hurts and it's frustrating because you're acting like she's just this doll, this being. You didn't even call her your daughter. What is this to you? Is a game? This ain't no game. You don't get to do that. And then the criticism that you have received, you've completely taken down your video so nobody else can see it, turned off the comments, and just going on about life like it's just a hump in the road. It's 2024, and we are tired. We are tired of being used. We are tired of being a trophy for everybody else but ourselves. I really hope you take care of her like she deserves.
I will never get to brush my daughter's hair again. Don't take it for granted.
That's all I'm really going to talk about when it comes to the video that kind of set all of this off. I would like to focus more on everything that kind of was exposed afterwards. Now, people started digging into Will and his husband, and there were a lot of things that were exposed, but the number one question that people had was, how did they get this baby? Because it seemed very fishy, something seemed afoot, and they went through a private adoption agent. And that comes into that becomes important later on in this conversation, because private adoption agencies are not overseen by the government the way that a normal foster or adoption situation might be overseen. These are private agencies that you can buy children from. As scary as that sounds, private and private adoption agencies versus normal foster and adopt situations that are overseen by the government or the state or whatever are two completely different beasts. And this is something that is new to me. I've never really dug super deep into the differences, but it really kind of seems like private adoption agencies receive a lot of negative criticism for good reason. And it is because there are a lot of things that can kind of be swept under the rug, ignored, rules that can be bent to make things happen that wouldn't have happened if this was with a government supervised situation. Now, Will and his husband really started out this adoption journey very strong by photographing this young 23-year-old mother that was literally in the labor and delivery room at the hospital by taking this photo here. And yes, of course, I will blur her face for her own privacy, but this is literally the first photo of them stepping into their new roles as dads. I want to focus on that for just a moment because I talk a lot about medical privacy and parents filming their children in the doctor's offices, ER visits, dental visits, and just the blatant disrespect and very clear exhibiting of just ripping privacy away from children that are in a vulnerable position, being hurt, injured, or maybe they're just there for a normal dental cleaning and you have your vlog camera in their face. I cannot imagine that being transferred onto a mother that is literally getting ready to give birth. And we are not just talking about a mother that is giving birth. We are talking about a mother who is giving birth and then immediately handing her sweet child over to two men that she does not really know. And you want to take a selfie for your social media? Wrong time, wrong place. It will not ever be okay to do things like that. And that was the first photo. Now, they carried on after this child was born to go ahead and immediately take the child out to do quirky Christmas photo shoots. And they had this newborn baby sitting on unhygienic, cold, hard Christmas decorations so that they could take photos of this child. Now, I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, I don't claim to be either, but common knowledge is that you don't take your newborn infant out and prop them up on a Hope metal structure, even if there is a blanket there, so that you can have a photo up for social media. Y'all are parents, sound off down below. When your child was days or weeks old, were you taking them out into the world where it is wintertime, it's cold, it's blustery, we're dealing with things like RSV and a spike in COVID? Is that something that I shouldn't be mad about or I shouldn't question? Tell me how you feel about that down below. Now, aside from them using this child as a photo op in multiple different manners, there's also been a few other safety concerns that have been brought up by people that have been, digging into this situation. Number one is they let this child wear a winter coat in the car seat. And the second thing is this photo right here, where this infant is wearing literal rings, jewelry, and you're posting it on social media. Seems like a very let me dress up this child and just put them on social media because this baby is just so cute and we're going to use this child as content. After all, it was exposed from Will himself that they paid $7,000 for this infant. And I just have so many concerns. The concerns that people initially had about things being dangerous, distasteful, tacky, ripping away privacy from the birth mother went into overdrive when Will and his husband's criminal pasts were exposed. Between the two of them, they have over 100 charges, not convictions, charges, and they are both in recovery. They have about 10 years under their belt, based on my understanding, which is absolutely phenomenal. But I think that people are saying this would not have gone through if this was through an agency where it was overseen by government officials, because in the state of Texas, where they reside, you are not able to adopt a child if you have a past filled with felonies.
Did get to speak to Will. He was the adoptive father who was brushing the hair. I spoke to him yesterday for about an hour on my live, and I did get confirmation of all of my questions that I had on my previous video that you guys just watched. So I'm going to go over those facts. I'm also going to answer some of the questions of how did this all even happen. So let's start with the facts. The first fact that I, as an adoptee and an adoptee advocate, want to make very clear that this was a legal private adoption. It is very unethical. But they did it the legal way. And because there isn't much governmental oversight, really no oversight with private adoption, as long as you have the money, you can get your product, which are babies. So let's start with the facts. The first fact is Will and his husband are both convicted felons. That's just the fact of the matter. I spoke to Will about this yesterday, but like I said in my previous video, most people who struggle with addiction also that coincides with a laundry list of convictions. And unfortunately, between him and his husband, there's over 100 charges, many of them felony charges. Not all convictions, because y'all know convictions and charges are different, but they both have been convicted with felonies in the state of Texas. Now, out of all of those convictions and charges, none of them were child abuse related. None of them were sex crime related. But if we're sticking to the facts, there were violent felonies on there, and there are also many drug felonies on there. To be clear, we're just dealing with the facts. The second fact of this case is both of the adoptive fathers are recovering addicts, but they both have at least 10 years under their belt, okay? So that's just a fact, and we support people who struggle with addiction, and we know that rehabilitation can happen, but that's just the facts. Once again, we just covering the facts here. The third fact of the matter is, where did the Zoe come from? And this is the most upsetting. Zoe's mother is a 23-year-old former foster youth who already has 3 prior children, 2 in her care. One, I believe, is with a family member or a friend. I don't know if the third one got adopted out. I believe it's with a family member or a friend. This is something we see from foster youth all the time. More than 75% of women who will grow up in foster care system will be pregnant by the age of 19. And this is a statistic that I talk about regularly. So for the people saying, well, she just gave up her baby, this was a foster youth who was also failed by the system, right? And the system then convinced her to give up her child. It's generational trauma, y'all. And the last fact that I want to share before we get to answering some of the most common questions I saw was this done legally? And unfortunately, yes. So let's get to the questions. Now, I know y'all wondering right now, how the did he get approved for adoption? Well, after speaking to Will yesterday, he did tell me that he and his husband both knew pretty much that they couldn't go through the foster care or the public adoption systems, because foster care and the public adoption systems, they do have policies and procedures that prevent felons and people with previous drug addictions from being foster parents or adoptive parents through the public foster care system or public adoption. Now, the difference between public adoption and private adoption is public adoption has governmental oversight. Private adoption does not. Private adoption is just a private industry, a private adoption company, or a private adoption attorney. In this case, Will and his husband used a private adoption attorney who then hired an adoption social worker to look for a baby to adopt. Most of these babies that they look for to adopt are either in y'all's community, your churches, or sometimes they will go to private adoption agencies and pay a fee for some of their referrals. Yeah, you heard that right. Adoption agencies, if you guys have seen the ads, can you not take care of your baby? Do you want to offer your baby a better life? That's not foster care advertising to you. Those are private adoption agencies who then sell that baby to the highest bidder, whether that be an adoptive parent or a baby broker. They're called baby brokers. This attorney was a baby broker, and they just try to find their clients' babies. Well, Carlos, I thought that in the state of Texas, you said that you couldn't adopt and be a felon. I did, and you can't. Unless you go through a private adoption and you use a baby broker, because if you use a baby broker, that baby broker is the one who approves you, not the government. Remember, I said that private adoption has no governmental oversight.
Now, I'd really like to hear from y'all, as always, in this comment section. What do you know about the differences between government agencies that are overseen by the government versus private agencies? And how do you feel about private adoptions? Do you feel like it is potentially really bad for the child when they get older? Is it bad for the birth parents? I'd really like for this to be a conversation with those of you who either know a lot about, adoptions. Maybe you are a parent yourself, or you have somebody in your family that went through either a private adoption or another adoption. How do you feel about their criminal history kind of being brought into this conversation? Do you feel like that shouldn't be a part of why people are upset? I'm just dishing out everything that I have consumed over the last day or so regarding this, and I can't wait to hear what y'all have to say. I am all here for children being adopted, but I really just don't appreciate people that are adopting children and they're automatically coming to social media as if this child is some kind of prop. It's really giving white savior. And that's how I feel for right now. That could change in the future. But nevertheless, sound off down below. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.